by the things we do or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once in a while, we can't help.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, brother.
How are you, man?
Man, I'm good.
Good. I'm glad. Glad you're good.
Last day of being 60.
Last day of being 60 for you.
Ain't no
Not
big
there
deal.
yet. Not there yet.
Ain't no hill for a climber. No step for a step.
Looking forward to it. Why does my hat seem like it's crooked? I don't know. Maybe the camera's off. I don't know.
See
Something's
Judge
weird.
Posey there
Yep.
and reminded if I was knew I was going to live this long, I'd have took better care of myself.
Absolutely.
Great stuff.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show.
Wade and Carter
Matt,
weather
she's Brent.
brought to you by the great folks. Yeah, South Texas TV studio, by the way.
That's right. We are
Beautiful.
live from.
All kinds of fun stuff here.
There it is, right there.
There you go. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deer Feed. And they
Take your
really
old-
are great folks.
Take your old mineral tubs in. They'll give you $2 off your next one. And
$2.
you get them out of your way.
You know, if the Playhouse
like-
Theater was still here, we could have mineral tub shows. Bring
Could've.
2 mineral tubs and get into the movie for free. This week, it's the original Batman movie. We watched that every summer. Coke shows. Do you have those in Canada?
I don't believe so, no.
Well, they have returnable bottles. You know, back in the day,
Yeah, we did have those.
you had the wooden crate with the 32-ounce soda bottles. And honest, I think they were like 50 cents a piece. But you got a nickel. I think it was a nickel. Help me,
Because you
folks.
paid a nickel.
Maybe you got a dime for the big bottles, but if you took 3 bottles, it was a great deal. They would let the kids go to the movies for the Coca-Cola sponsored it.
Yeah.
Bring us all the bottles. Well, it was amazing how we would go, hey, we're going to the movie this afternoon, and we'd go off on scavenger hunts and find bottles in the garage, find bottles in the yard, you know, behind buildings. Steal them, we'd steal them.
We used to find bottles on our way to go get a Slurpee from 7-Eleven because you could take that bottle and give it to them, and they'd give you your 10 cents and put that together with the 15 cents you had, and you had a small Slurpee for a quarter.
Think about about how things have changed, though. When I was a little guy, you could walk into a store and the Super Bubble, the bubble gum that, you know, you got Double Bubble, which has a better flavor, but you got Super Bubble, which is a better gum.
Made better bubbles.
Yeah. And you could go into a store it was penny gum. And there was just an open box, and I'd walk up and drop them, you know, and I'd have my 10, and it was 11 cents. You paid tax, and you were out. And then I literally remember when it went to, now they're 2 cents a piece.
Mojos. Remember Mojos?
No, what was that?
They were like a little, like a Tootsie Roll, but fruit flavored. They were penny candy when I was a kid, and then they went up to 2 cents each.
2 cents. But the difference is
my life
now,
almost ended.
The only way to buy Super Bubble in general is in a little bag. And they're like, 50 pieces for like $4.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you can't leave it out anymore because people steal.
Yep. They're not worried about the gum. They want the bigger stuff nowadays.
Right?
Anyway, let's get to the weather since we got on a reminiscing.
Yeah.
Well, what is the weather going to do
today? I'm getting a
today?
little older. 79 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 95 under kind of partly cloudy skies. Looking at a slight chance of rain, 30% this evening around 8 o'clock. Scott Tomko calls those Coke shows the birth of recycling.
More or less.
Scotty, you remember that movie? It's the one with Adam West as Batman, and
Was that the one?
he's in the bat copter, and the shark gets him.
Oh, yeah.
Robin, could you throw me down the
Shark repellent?
shark repellent? You know, that's
That was
before
awesome.
Jaws. That's before Jaws.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Holy gaping mouth, Batman. You know?
Scott Tomko says, remember when they charged for each text message?
Yeah. Remember when people had home phones
Yeah.
and they were rotary?
The only way to get privacy when you were talking to your girlfriend was you had to either convince your dad to buy the 15-foot cord to the handset, or you had to buy it yourself.
Right? Hello, sir. Seeing Mike Atkinson walk by. You want to talk about your guy from Canada making you proud? You want to talk about him, your Secretary of State? This is a guy.
Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House.
You got some explaining to do, Lucy. From the you should have known better than what you said.
Anthony Rhoda.
This is a great story because it wasn't intentional, but there was a guy named Yaroslav Hunka, Hunka.
Well, but he wasn't the only one. Zelensky was also calling him a hero.
People forget that Zelensky's a young Jewish man in Ukraine. By the way, he's not old enough to know a lot of his, World War II
well,
history.
Neither is Rhoda.
Yeah. And so Rhoda gets up and says, you remember, they always do this at the presidential addresses. There's always that up there stage left. There's
like
that little,
and I think that's a Hungarian.
4 or 5
name.
people. I'd like to recognize, the most recent one, Rush Limbaugh. There's Mr. Limbaugh, and he stands and he waves at everybody. And there was a guy in the crowd. He's 98 years old.
Yaroslav Hunka.
He's a Ukrainian hero, is what the speaker said. Mr. Hunka served in World War II as a member of the 14th Waffen Grenadier Division, and he served against the Russians in World War II. Well, the Waffen Grenadier Division was of the SS, and the man was a Nazi.
According to the Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
So you want to address the crowd? Mr. Atkinson has asked for a moment. It's always welcome. But I just thought it was interesting that he stands up and he got a standing ovation, and the speaker had to turn around and say, "Look, at my deepest apologies to our Jewish community, of which Zelensky is also Jewish." Very interesting. How are you, sir? We're joined by Mike Atkinson. What's going on, boss?
I'm fine. I hate Nazism. I hate National Socialism. I loathe and despise what they did to the Jewish people. It's terrible. It's awful.
I hope there's an and and not a but.
What people don't recognize that in Germany in the 1920s, 1930s, you were either a Nazi or you were communist or you were trying to get the heck out of the way.
Right.
And there was a lot of people who made their way because they had to be a member of the Nazi Party.
They had to go along to get along.
They got up.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore. They're starting to go after anybody who they say should have been or had an ability to stand up to the Nazis. They just sentenced a 98-year-old woman to prison for 11,000 counts of murder because she was a secretary and should have known better.
That's right.
There was obviously before our time, but Germany had been so beaten down by World War I.
Yes.
And was in such a economic and sense of purpose shambles that even though it just shows you how quickly we can get swayed when a little smarmy, dark-headed dork artist, he's an artist named Adolf Hitler,
about as good an artist as Hunter Biden,
can take all the
Maybe
blame
better.
of the country. Yeah, he wasn't actually that bad. Take all the blame of the country, all the issues of the nation, and shove them off on
the Jews.
The Jews. Let's make the Jews the bad guy.
They had to find an explanation for the loss of the war, and so they blamed it on the Jews, made it an internal problem,
Absolutely.
vilified them, and that was one of their major arguments.
But here he wants square-jawed, 6'4", blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys, and he's a little smarmy, dark-headed guy.
Austrian too. By
Austrian
the way.
on top of
Right.
that, not even of German blood.
Right.
It's just amazing how people can be led and misled.
It's not. But the Dems are pulling one out of that playbook. Donald Trump is now responsible for all the problems in the United States.
Right.
They're blaming him for the immigration crisis now. Joe Biden last week, and I'll find the clip at some point this week and play it. He was blaming Donald Trump for the immigration crisis.
I think since Biden came into office, we've got about 6.5 million immigrants, illegal immigrants that have moved in. That's
Illegal
equivalent
aliens.
to 11 electoral votes.
Right.
That's why they're here.
That's
the
exactly
idea
why
is
they're
to pack
here.
the population so when we have a census in 2030, that and these people are being shipped off to who knows where. They're being shipped off to Democrat-dominated
Oh,
states.
they know where they're going, absolutely.
So it doesn't matter if these people ever vote or not. They'll make up a population such
That's
that
right.
they will add congressional seats. And this will
Sway
help
the
to
vote.
ensure power for
Yep.
Democrats. It's just that simple.
And it's funny because they always complain that the Republicans gerrymander. They're the one. They do what they always do. They've even started this over the weekend. They started calling it projection. Oh, the Republicans project. Everything that they say we're doing is what they're actually doing.
Where have you heard that before?
That's what they do.
That's exactly what the Dems do.
And they can argue about gerrymandering and lines being drawn on electoral maps.
Saw a great video.
They're doing it by moving people into areas, absolutely, that'll change the way lines are drawn because of the next census.
I saw a great video this morning. Their Ukraine had a drone, and you see it from both sides. There's a video of the drone circling around, and then there's the video from the drone. And there's they call it a long-range surveillance camera piece of equipment on the roof of a building looking out of Russia. And the drone goes, and it's backing up, and also it goes, bam, right into that camera. And the video from another building just shows this big puff of smoke come up. And I thought, why not put some explosives on that thing? Run it where you want it to go.
Well, little by little, the Ukrainians are pushing the Russians back. It's a very slow, very bloody process, but the Russians are slowly losing the war. I'm not predicting an end to the war, exactly how it's going to end, but slowly, the Ukrainians are winning. They're grinding the Russians down.
It's interesting that just the will of the people seems to be, you would think that weapon for weapon, the Russians are superior.
You would think so.
I think I told Ash, I wouldn't be surprised if you went over there and opened up half those silos and the missiles were made out of paper mache.
Well, there's one word that describes the problems that the Russians have: corruption. Corruption is systemic. I'm working on a new book right now, The Invention of Russia, which goes from about Gorbachev up to the invasion of the Ukraine initially, not this last round. But the system is built lies upon lies upon lies. And that's one of the reasons that the system collapsed around Gorbachev, was that the lies, just the house of lies, the house of cards couldn't stand up any longer.
And yet, don't you feel like our own republic right now, Ash, is built on lies upon lies upon lies? And,
well, we're going to get to that in a little bit, because Jen Psaki had an interview with Hillary Clinton, and it was
he's got parts of it.
Didn't even bring up the fact that she paid for a fake dossier. I mean, it's funny to listen to the media bash Tucker Carlson and others for their interviews of Donald Trump when they're sitting here interviewing somebody who's shouldn't even be relevant on the political scene anymore, and they don't even bring up the
not going to be
things.
the nominee. Biden's not going to run for president.
Well, Ted Cruz seems to think it could be Miss Obama.
I'm hearing more and more rumblings about
Big
that.
Mike?
Yeah.
That article is really good, because when you listen to Hillary talk about the interference in the election and the monetary influence and so forth, I wasn't sure whether she was talking about the Russians affecting Republicans or George Soros affecting the Democrats.
No, it's exactly.
I got to run.
Okay,
Well, great to see you.
sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the
thank
great
you.
work that you
Appreciate
do.
that,
You
but-
got a terrific program, and I really appreciate the points of views that you
I
talk
appreciate
about.
you coming by and keeping us straight. Do you want to play some of Hillary's? Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's
first?
take our first break, and then we'll get into Hillary's.
Why don't
deal
we
with
talk
Jen
about
Psaki.
Paravita, and let's talk about how that's going for you. What'd you drop, like 6 pounds?
6 pounds, I think. Yep.
You didn't need to.
Didn't need to, but
You're
I'm
awfully
eating
fit.
smarter.
Let me fix that shirt there.
Thank you.
Awfully
My
fit.
pipes are.
Yeah, the guns.
My guns are wrecking the
Sun's
shirt.
out, guns out. Now, folks, Paravita, I got the deal for you. I got you the hookup. We've been trying to get you to go by and grab a pre-made meal. I'm going to recommend, if you like stuff a little bit spicy, go by and grab the buffalo chicken on the spaghetti squash, and it has usually broccoli or green beans with it. Fantastic. Very filling. Usually about $10. Just tell them, hey, Wade and Carter sent me by for lunch, 10% off. You can't beat it. They've got like a little chicken pack, 200 calories of chicken salad. It's got like cranberries.
Yeah, it's really good. I had
Really
it on
good.
Crackers. Should've
Yeah,
done
well, they
that.
make a little pita chip bag there, and Highly, highly recommend Paravita. Here's what it did for us. The challenge that we're doing allowed Dawn and I and Ash and Cheryl to kind of immerse into a routine of doing the pre-made meals. It's a 2-minute microwave deal. Hit it on 60%. Poof, let it heat up.
It doesn't poof.
It doesn't poof.
It's not like a MRE.
Right. But what it's done is show me proper portion control.
That's exactly
I
what
don't
it's really
feel
done.
like I have to eat a huge plate of food anymore. And I know that in the long run that habit is gonna help me.
Well, you train your body to not eat as much, and then when you do, you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, but you're not really you're
No.
full after you eat the meals.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
telling you.
that's exactly it, because
So
it's packed with protein,
No
which
preservatives.
fills you up, and fiber, and not a lot of carbs.
All natural, no preservatives. It's that. Is it an Atkins diet? No. Is it keto? No, but they have keto meals available. I just want you to go
It's
by
just
there and give it
proper
a try for
portion
lunch.
control. Yeah.
Give it a try for lunch. You can know this. Everything you're eating is perfectly healthy. There are no preservatives. There's no gluten.
No MSG.
Go by, check it out. I'll tell you something. And just to be fair to the course, I haven't added salt or pepper to any of it. It's always good. It's always good. Paravita for life. Go by today. 10% off just by mentioning Wade and Carter. And all week. 10% off. Just mention Wade and Carter.
And after you stop in there, stopping by the Gray Barn right down the road.
In
Town and
between,
Country Center.
Get your feet rubbed if you want.
Good.
I don't know.
Cheryl will be at the Gray Barn today about 10 o'clock.
10-ish.
But stop on by for all your home decor needs,
She went and
wants.
saw Jelly Roll the other night.
She did. She might even have some flowers that she's got there that she'll give you a good deal on, too. She'll whip up a bouquet for you if she's got some.
There you go. Take them to your office. I did not know who Jelly Roll was. I know you folks.
You were
do.
schooled.
Yeah, he's got a really good message.
Yeah,
Seems like a nice guy. When I watched an interview with him and with Joe Rogan,
prison.
a lot
Went
of
to prison
language,
for a few years.
pretty intense on certain
Right,
things, but his motivation is pure, and what he talked about is giving back to kids and helping kids stay on the right track. And
From a guy that made all the wrong decisions.
yeah, he
and
was
now
in
he's
jail
Trying,
because I spent high school in jail because I was in jail. It said having a child changed his life, changed his outlook.
If only it were that easy.
Right? That'll make it better.
Hey, tomorrow, Palace Bingo. Join us at the Brent's birthday bingo.
Oh, goodness. It's just Tuesday night bingo.
It's Tuesday night bingo, but it's your birthday. We're going
Where
to celebrate.
friends meet
We're going to
friends.
celebrate.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Maybe I'll get, if 5 or 6 of us go together, maybe Dawn will let me have a bite of cake.
She better.
You think? It is my birthday.
It is your birthday. You have a small piece.
At 61, is it okay to go, but I want it.
Yeah, you can throw a tantrum. Why
Yeah,
not?
I can do it.
Brent's birthday bingo tomorrow night. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Come on.
Be
out.
there.
Yep.
AJ's detailing. I went by and saw AJ last week. Man, he's got some incredible new ceramic coatings that he's using. He's always experimenting, always trying to find the right combination. Believe it or not, there's different chemicals and compounds that work in this environment, high humidity, salty air, lots of dust, that may not be the same in
Chemical
the Midwest.
emissions.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a red vehicle, for whatever reason, red just does not hold up in this environment.
It doesn't.
Go see AJ and get yourself a ceramic
UV
coat.
protecting, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. In Armor Air, I know we're supposed to be in fall. We're not there yet. But now's the perfect time. Your AC might have worked hard all summer for you. Get it checked out now.
Yeah.
And make sure that the heating side of your HVAC is working properly. And he'll make sure all that's there. And the guys at Armor Air do a great job. 579-0966.
Fair, honest, on time, good folks. Give them a call.
And they don't just do things and then give you the bill. They'll tell you, well, hey, this is what we need to do. Here's what can wait. But here's the cost of it all in case, so you can make a decision and you can find out, hey, let's just do it all.
You know why it's beneficial to have a sponsor like First State Bank of Louise, the
Why is
friendliest bank anywhere?
With locations all over the place. If you're in Inez, why aren't you banking with them? Because they got a location in Edna. Just up the road, right there.
Here's why it's beneficial to have a sponsor like that that's always got a positive angle. Because the Astros suck. Astros, folks. Astros. While the Rangers are off sweeping teams, taking and dominating the division,
We were losing to the second worst team in all of Major League Baseball.
the Kansas City Royals are terrible.
102 losses. Remember how bad the Astros were when we were losing 104 games? Well, that's the Royals in 2023, and we just lost 3 games to them over the weekend.
And at home, I don't know why we're so terrible at home.
Actually, if you think about it, we've kind of been terrible at home in the last couple playoffs as well.
I don't know what we're going to do, folks. I'll tell you this. Even
We got to sweep the Mariners this weekend.
Jose Abreu said, look, this is it. If you're a pro, this is what you live for. It's time to do it. It's time to do it now.
Astros haven't been in this position.
No, in years. They've dominated a really mediocre AL West. But if you look at them,
I mean, here we are. We get a half game on the Mariners. We're holding on to the last wild card spot by a thread.
yeah, by half a game. If they beat us once, they flip it.
And I don't think we're going to catch the Rangers,
We need to beat them 2 out of 3.
who have
The
now won
Rangers-
5 in a row.
The Rangers would have to fold up. There's only how many games left? There's 100. That's 156.
I think we've only got 6 games left. Yep.
Man, come on, Astros. And then you have to ask, if you secure the wild card, do you really need to exert, stretch, push, and all that to win the division? Or do you just want to, at this point, limp into the playoffs and try not to get anybody hurt, not overextend pitchers? Because our bullpen is our Achilles heel. Rafael Montero,
Hunter Brown took the loss.
Hunter Brown.
Hunter Brown's a guy that if he doesn't start, I know he's young.
It's 11-13 this year, but his ERA is what?
5.12.
That's it. He's given up too many home runs. That's a fact.
He's kind of he's
He's Justin Verlander
yeah, not quite.
without the Cy Youngs.
Yeah. Oh man.
Royals hit 4 homers, beat slumping Astros 6-5 for sweep.
Yeah.
Leave it to the Royals to have a 6-game winning streak down the stretch.
If we'd have won that game,
Where are we at?
we got Seattle tonight. Verlander
Tomorrow
on the
and
mound.
Wednesday.
Then we've got Javier, and that game's going to be on TBS. That tells you how big a game that is. If we sweep the Mariners, which I don't think we will,
Then we're fine.
then we eliminate them from the wild card.
And they know this. Hello, they're going to be doing everything. This is playoff baseball. You will see short leashes on starters. You will see multiple relievers in each game.
I have friends that went and bought tickets to make this trip to Seattle for this series just because.
From Canada or from here?
From here. But they try to go to games in other cities. They want to visit all the ballparks, right? Over before they're dead. I mean,
Probably time for me to start making those kind of bucket list goals.
Should have started a while ago.
Yeah.
It's not cheap anymore.
Takes
But
lots
anyway,
of money. Or an RV.
These tickets, when he bought them, were like face value.
Now you can sell them for $1,000 a
Oh,
piece.
easily,
I'd sell them
easily.
go to the bar and watch it.
Yeah. I'd sell them, take a daytime tour of the ballpark so you can at least say you've been there.
I went there. I paid for the trip with the tickets.
Exactly. But, yeah, we've got the Mariners for 3 and then finish up at Arizona for 3. And I'm not so sure if we don't take the first game of this series that we win the series.
We've got to win the series. That's just a fact. You don't win the series, you're out. Because they'll be 2.5 games up
Yeah.
with 4 to play, 3 to play.
3 to play. Yep.
But I would not be surprised if something epic didn't happen. It would not surprise me if the Rangers lost every game from here to the end of the year.
And here's the thing. We're playing the Diamondbacks, who are in the fight
Yeah,
for the wild
they've
card
got
race in the National League themselves. It's not like
every
we're playing a
motivation.
team. They're a half game up, and they hold the second wild card spot.
So they're trying to pull out all the stops.
Exactly. They're trying to stay in the playoffs, and this is a team that has been terrible.
Who do the Rangers have? Us? I mean, the Mariners after us?
Good question. Now I got to go back to that. Let me see who they have. I'm sure B Small would be able to tell us right away because he probably knows. But I don't know. They just swept Toronto, and Toronto was looking for. Oh, did I click the wrong one?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you did.
But the Rangers just swept Toronto, and Toronto was that team trying to stay in the playoff hunt. So, and I think they still are. I think they have they have the second wild card spot. So who does the Rangers have? The Rangers have the Angels.
No, they flip. So we have the Mariners. But they have 4 games with Seattle.
That'll be interesting.
I would love for us to, but I tell you what, there's going to be some upheaval. It will not go Texas, Houston, Seattle by the time it's over. We've got 3 games against the Mariners and then 3 games against the Angels.
B Small says there's no way they lose out. No, I agree. I think the Rangers win the division now.
I think for sure the Rangers. Here's the good news. I think for sure the Rangers are in the playoffs. I think they've.
I don't think they haven't clinched yet, but they're in a better
unless
position.
Seattle beats them 4 straight. Think about that. Yeah. They would have to tear down their stadium. Be small.
Well, I never thought Seattle with 4 games left after we play them. I didn't think about that. I guess If we sweep them, we still don't clinch it because I thought they only had 3 games left, but they have 4. They could conceivably be 3.5 out and sweep the Rangers, and we'd be out if we lost them all. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's don't lose. We don't have
not
time to
lose
lose.
out, no.
Win or go home. That's the way it works.
Yep. B Small is in. Dottie Bitterly. Good morning, Scott Tomko.
One quick more aside. Win or go home is not usually good for the Astros. The Astros play their best baseball when they're loose, having fun. You know, shucking and jiving, giving high fives and stuff. And I'm not sure that the mood is going to be that way.
Well, I said this back in the offseason, and I know Jose Abreu has been better offensively and almost on par. They've been almost the same player defensively this year.
You're missing Yuli right now?
But Yuli Gurriel brought something to that clubhouse that has not been replicated, duplicated.
I agree.
And it's just not – the Astros have not had a lot of smiles when they show them in the dugout this year. And I think –
relatively speaking. I mean, there have been periods of time where they were loose and having fun, but I agree with you.
Not to worry. But they're not winning like they have been in the past either. They're not. They're going to struggle to get to 90 wins.
So, look, after that downer segment – and by the way, thank you, First State Bank of Louise, because you are the bright spot in the Astros update. Let's just switch over because – no way there could be any bad news about the Dallas Cowboys. They played the lowly Arizona Cardinals.
It all started, Friday when Trayvon Diggs?
Yeah, Diggs. When Diggs tore up his ACL, who's their quarterback? Kyler Murray? Did he go off on them?
Oh, Kyler Murray didn't play.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Cowboys get beat and we're down from the onset. It was 9-3. It was 9-0, 9-3, 21-10 at the half. Cowboys. They just lose the game 28-13.
Game they should have won.
28-16.
After outscoring their first 2 opponents 70-10. The Cowboys lay an egg yesterday afternoon in Arizona. Maybe the Heat got to them. I don't know.
I don't think so. The Eagles lead the division.
Cardinals get their first win.
Eagles must play tonight, Monday Night Football.
Oh, man.
Or is it bye week? They play
no, there's 2 games tonight. I'll get to the schedule. There's 2 Monday night games.
I haven't gotten into that 2 games. That's football overload for me.
Philly and Tampa and the Rams and Cincy.
The Rams and Cincy.
No, Chargers and Cincy.
Is that Joe Burrow?
No, this is the Rams, yeah. Too many LA teams now.
Joe Burrow, is that the guy?
Joe Burrow.
Is he healthy?
Yeah,
no,
I'm not sure. But
Philly ought to spank Tampa Bay, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
You see where that Taylor Swift is hanging out with
Travis Kelce? Yeah.
Travis Kelce?
Disappointed in Kelsey, man. He was on the TV last night watching that Sunday night game. That was a pretty good game last night, by the way.
Who
Pittsburgh
played?
and the Raiders.
Who won?
Pittsburgh 23-18, but Raiders had a chance late to. They made it a game late, but I was disappointed in Travis Kelsey stumping for Pfizer. And Pfizer's now pushing 2 shots. Not 2 COVID shots. They want you to get the flu shot because I think you can get 1 shot and get 2 for 1, right?
Folks, I'm just telling you, if you take another COVID shot, you're not a smart person, period.
Nope.
Don't take another COVID shot. There has not been not one.
There you go. Jonathan Williams. Josh Dobbs, the quarterback at Arizona. He signed the week before the season started.
Not one qualified study that's come out and said anything about efficacy versus side effects that makes the shot worth having.
I saw a great post that they're getting mad at the people who didn't get the shot and blaming them for the shot not working.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of interesting.
In other news, in the I can't believe it happened department, the Houston Texans put it on the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was a game we all thought Jacksonville would dominate.
Yep.
How about those Texans?
They won pretty well.
Yep. Did you watch any of it?
I did not, no.
Me either. Are we qualified to really speak to that?
Well, aside from the 37-17 final score that tells you all you need to know.
At one point, I think it was 17-0. Steve Kidder gave us some updates during the game.
But I'm going to guess that Trevor Lawrence didn't look good, and Jacksonville's defense got shredded by a team and by an offense that looked like it was about ready for Pop Warner football through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Tony Pollard had 122 yards rushing yesterday for the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott saying he's excited to play against his former team. Watch him go off for about 250.
He had 80 and was the rushing leader for the
Patriots
in their win over the Jets. Jets, J-E-T-S, Jets.
He's a good player.
15-10. Parcells must just be beside himself.
Why?
How about the Miami Dolphins?
He's not coaching.
What did I say?
Parcells.
Belichick. They're kind of the same guy nowadays.
Yeah.
How about Miami going 70 up on, putting up 70 on Denver, and then deciding not to kick a field goal because we didn't want to humiliate them?
Well,
you had a chance to set the record. This will be the high point of Miami's season and maybe Miami's decade.
You know why they didn't, though? You'll recall that the
They didn't have
head
faith in
coach
the kicker.
of the Dolphins was not given an interview to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos.
You think he's happy about that?
Who's their guy? Is that where, what's his name from the Saints used to be?
No, that's where Peyton, yeah, he's in Denver.
He just got spanked. Did you know that? So
And that's where Russell Wilson, where they thought Russell Wilson was going to be the guy.
Terrible. Tua, Devon A-Chain from the Aggies.
Tyreek Hill.
They all had 4 touchdowns yesterday, each. That's pretty incredible.
That is pretty incredible.
All of them had 4 touchdowns. It's crazy town.
12 times 6, 72. Scored 70. They must have tried to go for 2 a couple times.
I don't know.
Well, Tagliavola threw for 4 touchdowns. He didn't have 2.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have them. And
Okay.
A-Chain only scored 2. Or rushing. Maybe he caught.
No, he caught 2.
Did he?
Look it up. Is it they had
Hill,
4?
they say, only had 1 receiving.
How many?
Hill caught 1.
Keep
A-Chain
going.
had 1. A-Chain caught a pass.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, he had
For
4.
A-Chain.
Hill didn't. Hill only had the 1. But still.
1,
Mostert had a couple. Mostert had 4.
3, 4.
There you go. Rasheem Mostert had 4.
Okay, so Tua threw for 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
726 total yards of offense for the Dolphins. Whew.
You know, is that Kyle Tucker? I'm seeing the same thing, Ash, on a lot of this. You remember how just a couple of seasons ago, I remember maybe 3 seasons ago when Nick Saban pointed out that 13 points used to be, if Alabama only gave up 13 points, they never lost. Never lost.
Yeah.
if they only give up 13 points. Now, he said last year we averaged giving up 19 points a game and still greatly led the SEC in defense. This was several seasons ago. SEC games are now 38-30, and the SEC is a scoring, passing league just like every other league, which really benefits a lot of schools coming in. So
no change in the AP top 25. Georgia, Michigan, Texas, 1, 2, 3.
I like the coaches poll better. I think it's more accurate. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State.
I don't know.
Florida
The
State.
coaches had Colorado ranked in the top 25.
Kirk Bowles, the really average writer of the Austin American Statesman, had number 7 in the press poll and number 8 in the coaches poll. Washington rated number 1. That was his number 1 team. Notre Dame, LSU among the one-loss teams, hovering down around 12-13.
Washington State beat Oregon State on Saturday night in what was a very entertaining football game from Martin Stadium in Pullman.
Washington State 17 in one poll, 16 in the other. Alabama. So Notre Dame is 11. Alabama is 12. LSU is 13. Notre Dame dropping some after being beaten by Ohio State.
Yeah.
Last play of the game.
Scored a touchdown on a 1-yard, or was it a 1-yard run, 2-yard run, something like that.
Neither
Exciting.
team looked great.
Good. No, I agree.
You know,
defense has played well. I'm not going to lie about that, but I still don't think the offenses weren't sharp when they had opportunities to be sharp. It wasn't all defense. Defense have made some plays, but that wasn't a 17-14 game because it was a defensive standout on either side. They played well, but a lot of sloppy play on the offense as well. That's my take on that one.
saw the Aggies won. Aggies beat up on a fairly hapless Auburn team.
And let's be honest, folks. Until the fourth quarter when the Aggies just wore out Auburn, this was a terribly played football game by both teams until that point.
Yep.
Penalties hurt the Aggies when they had opportunities to blow it open.
One thing of interest is they put in Max Johnson, and he threw. Connor Wegman got hurt. They put in Max Johnson, and he threw a touchdown pass to his brother. Now, that's something they'll talk about forever. B. Small says Baylor sucks. He's qualified to do it. He is a Baylor Bear. Texas
Well, and
did
anybody who
handle
watched
them.
that game knows that as well. Jim Hartman, good morning. Peter McNally says the Pac-12 has been revived.
Good morning, Mr.
Yeah.
Hartman.
I think the SEC or the Big Ten and the SEC have the fewer. The SEC has 5 teams in the top 25, which I'm not sure. Pac-12 has 4 teams in the top 10. Well, that's
What do you make of? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You have a lot of bravado. You better back it up. You can have a swag copter, but you better win. What do you make of the absolute drubbing that the Oregon Ducks gave to the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders?
What I talked about at the start of the year. Deion will make a difference. Deion will change the culture. Deion will be and have more influence and lead them to more than the one win they had last year. But for anybody that put Colorado in the top 25, both the coaches and the press, after a 3-0 start against a bunch of nobodies, and they struggled against Colorado State to get to 3-0 because Colorado State now had 2 weeks of film to look at. That was a vote on heart by both the coaches and the press as opposed to actually looking at what they're doing on the field. And Oregon was ready to make a statement against a guy who hasn't done anything, but is getting all the media accolades
this weekend.
Yeah, Colorado, a better team than their 1-11 team from a year ago. It takes a lot to turn a team around from a 1-win season.
Even if it's a totally different team. Like, I'm not sure there's – how many players do you think they have starting that were on last year's team?
I think it's less than a handful.
Yeah.
4 maybe. But they also turned over 85 players off that roster, so that's going to take some time. But the Pac-12 is no slouch, and Colorado may not get more than 2 wins in the Pac-12 schedule.
There's always a lot of
I don't know who they play. They probably beat Stanford if they play them because everybody beats Stanford.
There's a lot of fake outrage, a lot of other things. There are some folks crying racism, that Deion's getting unduly criticized because the team, got drubbed. But I'm like, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You come in there talking about, our time is now. We're not on our way. We're here. That's all fine and good. It's like I've said 1,000 times to you folks here. When you're Jerry Glanville and you're coaching the Houston Oilers, you can leave tickets for Elvis at will call every week, and people think it's cute when you're 11-0. Yeah. You drop 3 games in a row, people think you're crazy. Deion's kind of run into that syndrome. I don't think
Deion must be racist. Deion must be racist, though.
He's
right?
above racism.
Deion must be racist, though, because he was his own harshest critic in the post-game press conference.
Yeah.
So if everybody else is a racist for piling on poor Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes, then Deion's as racist as anyone else, because they're just saying what Deion beat everybody to the punch to say is we got our butts kicked, and it was an old-fashioned ass whooping.
He's got the straw hat. He's wearing the big gold chains. He's still neon Deion primetime. A little narcissistic. A little bit about him. Maybe trying to take some pressure off his team. He's a very smart man. And he's a very, very fine football mind.
And he's a great motivator.
And that may be what he's doing. I'm going to make it about me a little bit, takes the heat off the boys.
But they could win their next 2 games. They got Arizona State and Stanford. Well, after USC, they're going to lose. They're going to lose to USC, probably much in the same vein they lost to Oregon. Yes. It won't be close.
Yeah.
But then they got a chance to win 2 against Arizona State and Stanford, because both those schools are terrible.
They're going to lose to UCLA.
They probably will, because UCLA is coming along.
They're going to lose to Oregon State. They might have a 500 year. Maybe not.
Arizona's a little bit better. But then they've got Washington State and Utah.
The last 5 teams are all ranked. Any way you want to look at it.
So they're right now they are anyway. But they're in a little bit of, they could be in some trouble. But no question, he's turned things around. And Colorado's not playing. Oregon, Colorado isn't in prime time slot on Saturday if Prime isn't the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, because
true story.
Nobody wants to watch that game. Yep.
You got to wonder, B. Small says USC has no defense. That'll hurt because Shedeur Sanders can throw the ball.
They can pressure.
Texas beat a really pedestrian Baylor team this week. I don't know where the Bears are headed. You've got a real fine line between delusion
it's
and
swirling
reality.
Is where the Bears are headed.
Dave Aranda is a great coach, and he's a really fine gentleman, and Baylor probably thinks about firing him, and yet he's probably secretly going to bed at night going, I wish I could find another gig. Because much like I had somebody tell me last week that you wait till Texas comes to Fort Worth. I can't wait for Texas to play TCU. Cannot wait.
Should be a good game.
Should be a throttling.
Speaking of throttling, if your throttle isn't working, it's sticking. Allen's Record Service.
Give him a call, 578-6300. Let Allen be your go-to toe-to. He'll get you where you need to be. We just saw Jim Hartman check in, as he does quite often. Hats off to the VCS companies for all their great communication efforts. They power the Wade and Carter program. This big TV back here, it's not really a TV, it's a monitor.
361-894-4020 phone line. Give us a call.
Samsung 9000 series. This is a elite piece of equipment. You can
one
have
day
one.
We'll figure out how to work it all.
It does a lot of things better than just show our logo. But much
Chesnick
like
Furniture Company.
These microphones
That's
are
right.
better than the idiots that talk into them too. Yes, reach out to the VCS companies for all your communication needs. Chesnick Furniture. You want bedding? How about Tempur-Pedic bedding? Did you know this? I did not know this. Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy Posturepedic, the top brands in bedding, all owned by Tempur-Pedic.
Did not know that.
They own them all. Stearns & Foster was like, good gosh, man. The Mercedes-Benz of mattresses. I'm old enough now, I should have a Stearns & Foster, right?
You should have.
I need a little extra support.
All available at Chesney Furniture.
They've got it. And then Veracruz today, it's Monday.
Get back in today because you weren't there yesterday and you weren't there Saturday.
Magnificent Monday. Get in. I want to give a shout out just because you say Veracruz and we talk about folks that are always giving back. Our buddy J.R. Perez, who, by the way, works for the VCS companies. See how it all ties together? Great folks doing great things. J.R. cooked They did 750 plates for the J.R. Morris benefit.
Wow.
At the Inez Community Center. And I was keeping an ear open because they were serving right out of Lee. They did them at Veracruz, and they served right out of Lee's containers. And people were saying that's the best pork steak I've ever eaten, period. And you're doing it for 750 people.
Wow.
So hats off to J.R. Perez and his team of guys, Angel Hernandez, people you know, Lee, all there making
people
that
I like.
happen. Yeah. So today, Veracruz, get in. Tell them Wade and Carter sent you. You get free chips and hot sauce.
White Trash Services, 550-1826. If you want weekly trash collection and you're in Victoria County or the 6 contiguous, why aren't you using White Trash Services? That's the question
should.
I have for you. You should. They're reliable.
You really should.
They get it done. Prices is competitive, and they've got great customer service. I've had to call them twice in the last couple months. And you know what? You talk to somebody every time, and they take care of you. There's no putting you on hold while they try to find somebody. There's none of this, none of that. There's no phone tree where you got to push 2.
They don't give you the business.
Nope.
They don't pull your sweater over your head.
None of
Give
that.
you the business.
None of that. Don't feed you lunch.
Tell you what, Scott Nelson was at that benefit the other night and helped raise money.
No, that's the other thing. They give back to this
They give
community
back
as
to
well.
this community.
Absolutely.
USA Concrete Coating, 578 Home. Charlie Garcia, the singing cowboy, he'll come down. They'll give you a quote for whether it be a game room or a garage floor, a driveway, a porch, patio, pool deck. If your cool deck isn't cutting it anymore, let Charlie Garcia put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat.
Won't stick, peel, crack or fade.
There you go.
And they'll get it all done for you in typically less than a day. 578 Homes, the number to call. When services for all your electrical needs, backup generator needs, whole home generators. Don't listen to these people that are selling you 6,000 kilowatt whole home generators, because that's bull crap.
If your generator has a pull cord, you're not ready for whole house work. You need to reach out
No, you're
to
actually
Went.
ready for it. You're just not doing it.
Yes. Reach out to Went. Let them help you. And a quick aside also, I did see Michael and Rosemary Bazan at the benefit, and Rosemary is so motivated and on board, the Emmy Science Foundation, and she just said, please tell all your listeners a mid-season hello. Just wanted to tell them all hi and thanks for all they do for us. And the Claude B. Jacobs Memorial Bluebonnet Youth Ranch Golf Tournament.
Coming up Sunday, October 8th at the club at Colony Creek. Practice rounds on Sunday, and then the tournament itself on Monday, 10 o'clock. Tee off, but don't forget, $100 a ticket gets you into the big fundraiser on Sunday night. Gary Moore's going to be there, Janie Fricky. Probably, I think, what did he say? He had about 6 right now, maybe 7 or 8, maybe 9 by the time. I bet you they'll get to 10.
And they're going
10 performers by the time, and they'll do more like their picking party, which is a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome. Round table, they're going to take requests. You can ask for songs. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, you want tickets, give Tyler a call, 541-9011. And don't forget to get by the chopping block today for all your meat needs for the week. They'll meet your needs.
And I want to tell you one. I want to tell you how good Chopping Block is and the reputation that they've got. They offered a ribeye dinner for up to 5 couples. And it got into one of those 500, 600, 700, 800, went back and forth, back and forth. I forgot the actual final number was like $10,250. It was, it was a fundraiser. But my man Sean Neely had a tear in his eye. So proud to be a part of that. And John was there.
Because Sean was scared. He's got to make a meal worth $10,000 now.
Hard to do. Yeah.
Gold-plated ribeyes.
Absolutely. But fantastic. Oh, and the guy that bought it gave it back to the Morse family.
Nice.
Said, I want to provide dinner for your family.
Switch gears here, and let's talk a little politics. We're going to get into this government shutdown crap a little bit later on. Can we just shut it down? Please.
Look, last time we didn't shut it down, the Republicans gave the Democrats a blank check, and here we are again. So why don't we just shut it down this time and see what happens?
Well, and here's the thing. Depending on who you talk to, on the low end, about 12 to 13% of the government actually shuts down.
It'd be nice to
And on the high end, 18% of the government shuts down. 82 to 88% of the government doesn't shut down and keeps on going. And all those government employees that get furloughed for the time being, they get it back in back pay.
And you got to wonder,
plus some.
You got to wonder
the government does
how
not
important
shut
it
down.
is when they've already reassured Ukraine that no matter what happens to our government, their funding will remain intact.
Yeah, and we're going to give you another $100 and some odd billion that we're committed to.
It's just money. You can't buy freedom. You have to fight for it.
But a couple of things that took place over the weekend this started last week when Joe Biden blamed Donald Trump for the border crisis. I mean, completely idiotic. But Pete Buttigieg was blaming Trump for the economic crisis that the Bidens inherited, yada, yada, yada. And I do blame Trump. He forced some shutdowns of things, or at least strongly suggested, and governments went ahead. But Hillary Clinton is rearing her ugly head.
No pun intended.
No, there's no pun intended.
Steve Small says he'd hate to not get his junk mail every day. Hey, remember we told you last week, we called it back then, that Joe Biden would not be the nominee in 24? Make no mistake, Hillary Clinton's back on the political circuit. And rumor has it that one Big Michael Obama, may rear her ugly dome to run for president.
So this is from MSNBC and Jen Psaki's interview with Hillary Clinton. So take a listen to this garbage that Hillary's spewing. And I don't usually like to preface things like that, but this is just ludicrous.
But we're opinion shapers.
Has obviously your friend and mine.
Yes, indeed.
He has intervened in our election in the past.
Right.
It's not something, as you experienced firsthand, it's not something we talk about a lot. Do you fear that that is something that could be happening for 2024? And do you think we should be talking about it more?
Something you experienced firsthand. You lied about Putin's involvement in the election to get your party and the FBI to spy on your opponent.
Yeah.
So
remember when she chirped about the election was stolen? The election was stolen for months.
Yeah.
Months.
So we'll let this play. Keep going.
Well, I think we should be talking about it more because I don't think, despite all of the, deniers, there's any doubt that he interfered in our election or that he has interfered in many ways in the internal affairs of other countries, funding political parties, funding.
Like we haven't. We've overthrown governments in countries we didn't like the governments in.
You can't prove it.
And the Clintons were part of that.
Absolutely.
Political candidates, buying off, government officials in different places. So that is his opus, his opus operandi in the sense that he
says the woman whose foundation took bribes from other countries.
He hates the West, and he especially hates us. And he has determined that he can do two things simultaneously. He can try to continue to damage and divide us internally, and he's quite good at it. And sadly, he has a lot of apologists and enablers in our own country, people who either don't see the danger or dismiss it out of hand, or...
Who in this country likes Vlad Putin and doesn't see the danger?
She's alluding to Donald Trump. She's trying to say that President Trump doesn't see the danger or whatever. She is the Marie LeBeau of the swamp. She is the one.
Absolutely.
Maybe agree with some of the, positions he's
Nobody
taken,
agrees with any positions Vlad Putin takes.
things,
You're lying.
Including his barbaric invasion of Ukraine. And so dividing us and then trying...
And nobody agrees with the invasion, but nobody agrees with either side in this thing because Ukraine is as corrupt as Russia is.
Absolutely.
They just didn't invade the other way.
To seize territory in such a brutal way to try to expand his reach, to try to restore the Russian...
Says Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State in the Obama administration and just sat back and watched as Putin took the Crimea from Ukraine and didn't say a word and didn't lift a finger.
And sat back and watched as our men and women died in Benghazi and didn't say a word and didn't lift a
Empire,
finger.
not the former Soviet Union. That is who he is. I said that for years. part of the reason he worked so hard against me is because he didn't think that he wanted me in the White House. So we are where we are, and part of the challenge
We agreed with him.
is to continue to
On that point, we agreed with Putin.
explain to the American public that, you know, the kind of leader Putin is, this authoritarian dictator who literally kills his opposition, kills journalists, poisons people who disagree with him, invades other country,
She's
interferes
jealous.
with our election. That is
sounds like
part
she's
of the
describing our
alternative we have to
CIA.
reject in this
Right.
election. We have to reject authoritarianism. We have to reject a kind of creeping fascism almost.
That's enough of that. But
she
anyway,
is absolutely
you get the point.
laying down the groundwork to run for office. There's
And
no
Jen
getting around
and
it.
Jen Psaki doesn't even ask her about the dossier that the Clinton Foundation paid for,
That's right.
which is now being rebranded as Clinton Global Initiative. Nothing. Not a word about it. Nor the illegal spying. Nothing on how she tried to circumvent and submarine Donald Trump's campaign back in 2016. Nothing.
Crazy. Yeah, Junior Samples points out Hillary talking about killing opponents. That's rich.
Yeah, isn't it though?
I really like a friend like Pete McNally, who is probably a Hillary Clinton apologist. Does he believe that there could be that much smoke around Hillary without some fire, that the Clintons have never eliminated political opponents? Do you now believe there's anything that you see globally that the United States is above, that we're too good, we're too fair, honest, open? There's no way that a Democrat or a Republican would kill a political opponent for advantage? You still think that's not really possible? I absolutely believe it.
Absolutely, it's possible.
I absolutely. Vince Foster's widow absolutely believes it.
We may not be as open about it as Putin and obvious about it as Putin.
He was a good man. He made some bad choices. That's all he said about Prigozhin getting shot down. He made some bad choices. He didn't say it's a shame, it's a crisis.
Sorry, a bunch of innocent people had to die.
No. He should have gotten on a smaller aircraft.
Should have flown his own plane.
Then I would have just killed him. But he had to go.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump organizes and approves an airstrike in Iraq that kills the Iranian, what was his Minister of Death or whatever his name was, remember? We only basically kill him and the bad guys surrounding him. No innocent civilians' lives were lost, and the Dems went absolutely ape crap over that strike. Oh, you can't kill somebody over there.
Sure can, and did.
And did.
Steve Kidder says opponent, they kill their friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't Steve Kidder going to call us? Oh, look at there, we're out of time.
Even better.
Unbelievable, this guy. Would he charge us by the minute if he were to
If he calls us, no, I don't think so. We're not calling him.
We're good?
It's not billable if he calls us.
Okay. Brother G, how are you, sir?
Good sports show we're talking about. I loved it.
We're trying. Working hard.
But yeah, the government needs to shut down. I think they're going to vote on some spending bills today, or at least this week, going to debate 4 separate funding bills. Let the government shut down.
Yeah, let it shut down. Last time we didn't. We gave them a blank check, and nothing good happened.
Some reporter tried to get Matt Gaetz, a representative from Florida, said that he voted against defense bills when he says he's a big proponent of our military, and he basically fact checked her on the air. CNN reporter said, "No, go back and check. I did not vote against those. In fact, I voted for them every single time." And then she apologized and cut the interview short.
They always do that when you call them on it.
Yeah.
One more thing. There's always one more thing. Give us one more thing.
I'm just curious to see who votes for these bills this week and who doesn't, and who actually will hold Kevin McCarthy, the speaker, to account.
Has anybody heard any more from Governor Cuomo? No, has anybody heard any more about the children that were believed missing on Maui?
No.
Have you heard any more about how the government is going to be involved in helping rebuild Maui. Have you folks heard anything at all about Maui?
Other than when they're trying to use it politically they point to it when they talk about climate change now. Well, we need to do this to avert disasters like Maui.
Because that made the arsonist set the fire?
Yes, climate change made the arsonist set the fire.
Remember when the FBI promised us all, after the Jason Aldean shooting in Vegas, we've got some suspects and there will be some information forthcoming. When was the last time you heard anything about what happened in Vegas?
Nothing.
Don't ever believe that your government's not capable of doing crazy things to forward their agenda, because they are. It's what they do. Anything goes. And they're going to tell you someday, they'll tell your kids someday, what you didn't know was desperate times required desperate measures, and these things had to be done, because it would have been tragic if we would have had a Republican back in office, or if we would have elected a Democrat, both sides working against the middle.
Yep.
And we are in big, big trouble in the United States. And with that, have a great day. If you can't win them all, you got to win Monday, or you can't win them all.
That's exactly
Go Astros. Brother G says go Stros. Hey, we love you guys. It's not all doom and gloom. Just got to make it happen.
Well, I've been kicked out.